Hello, my name is Rob, and today I'm going to try and make something with all of the stuff I got in a Too Good To Go bag last week. Welcome to Rob's Randoms. On this channel I make weekly videos about absolutely anything, but once a month I make a video about Too Good To Go, and that was last week. I went to a spa and a co-op and I got a bag from each, and I went through them, saw what I got, and this week I'm going to try and make something with the things that I got in that bag. Here is everything I got across those two bags, and yes, today I have a challenge to try and make something out of the things that I got. Now, this is my first time ever doing this sort of challenge, so I'm not going to try and set myself any rules about this because then I'm just going to fail. The whole idea of this is just to challenge myself to try and make something that probably I've never had before, and just see if what I can make out of the things that I've got. Now, I don't have to use everything that I got across both of those bags because there was a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to limit myself to just what was in those bags, but I'd like to use only what's in those bags as much as possible. You see what I'm trying to do here? I'm just not trying to make it more difficult for myself. I'm just going for like the interest factor of trying to make something. Hopefully you're on board with that. If so, let's get started. It's morning, so the first thing I'm going to make is breakfast, and these are the ingredients I'm going to use to make it. So I make a really good garlic mushrooms on toast, and I figured I would do that again today, but I'm also going to use one of these leeks, because I feel like leek and mushroom, that will go quite well, and like in a creamy sauce, that could be interesting, right? I am going to be making 3 separate things in this video, so I'm going to be quick in the actual making of them. So, for garlic and leek mushrooms on toast, I need to cut up a leek, I need to cut up some mushrooms, fry them off, put some cream in it. Done. Oh, I also need some garlic, which I don't have in this, so that's one thing that I'm using from my own personal food stash. Okay, so that is probably far too hot now, but here we go. Hold up a second. Right, while this is cooking, I also want to cut up some garlic to go in at the end, which again, something from my own personal stash, so I'm going to cut up some of this. Hopefully this garlic's alright, it's been there for a little while. Should have thought about that, really. There we go, so if you let it steam for a second, then the mushroom starts to release the water. And so now I can just kind of let this stew for a bit, release all the water, and then it can go back to frying normally. I'm now thinking that maybe I didn't do enough leek because that's a rather paltry amount in comparison to the mushrooms. But I'm really hoping the mushrooms are going to reduce quite a lot in size. Okay, I would say that we are about there, so we're going to shove in the garlic. That's about 3 cloves of garlic. Is that reasonable for one person? Cook that for a few seconds while I put the toast on, and then we'll take it off the heat and put the cream in, and then it's done. So my issue in the past making this has been that I've left it too hot, and then when I put the cream in, it just immediately curdles. And it's still nice, it just definitely isn't as good. So I'm going to let this cool down for a second first, I think, before I put the cream in. It still wants some heat, but that's quite hot, so we'll leave that for a sec, actually. Okay, let's try this. My other issue is that I always put in far too much cream. So hopefully that will be alright. It's not very much, but it doesn't need to be too much. Hopefully it'll just thicken up a little bit. Right, this is my breakfast then. Mushrooms and leek on toast. Let's give it a quick try. See what the leek and mushroom actually is like. Yeah, they go well together. It's very savoury. It definitely reminds me more of dinner. I don't know, the leek. I think it's because leek are not normally a breakfast food. I also definitely should have buttered the toast. I was kind of hoping the cream would give it a bit more of the buttery stuff, but it hasn't. But this is very nice. So, excuse me while I go eat my breakfast. I'm really hungry. And then we move on to the second thing. Breakfast was very nice, but very safe because it was just mushrooms on toast, something I make quite often anyway. So the second thing I'm going to make today is a bit more of an experiment because I'm going to try and make blueberry milk. I've never had blueberry milk before. In fact, I've never even heard of it. I was just looking online, putting ingredients together and seeing what popped up, and I found a recipe for blueberry milk, which I will put a link in the description. So let's get on and make it. So the recipe for blueberry milk is very simple. First off, you make a blueberry syrup, and that is a very simple combination of 1 part water, 1 part sugar, and 1 part blueberries. We then leave that simmering for about 15 minutes until all of the blueberries have exploded and imparted all of their nice flavour. Then we strain that into a jar, and that is our blueberry syrup. And then for blueberry milk itself, it's just 4 parts milk to 1 part blueberry syrup. So after all that, here it is. We have some blueberry milk, which looks weird. Is that weird? Is it lilac? Is it that colour? I mean, hopefully it's going to be nice. I'm kind of expecting it to be like a mix between a milkshake and a smoothie. Let's find out. Oh, that's very sweet. But that is very blueberry-y. They are very nice blueberries, I would say that. I'd say that's a winner. If I make this again in the future, definitely less sugar. That doesn't need a 1:1:1 ratio. Cool, that was a pretty good, weird little side tangent of things I could make. Definitely the most weird thing I'm going to be making today. So I'm going to enjoy the rest of this, and then we're going to come back in a few hours and I'm going to make lunch. It's now 12:30, I'm getting hungry, so for lunch I'm going to try and make a sandwich, but a sandwich made of onion bhajis. Bear with me because I'm convinced this is going to be a good idea. Onion bhajis are delicious, so I'm thinking put them in a sandwich with some kale, which I'm going to try and cook and add some flavour to and make slightly less awful. And I was going to put it with mango chutney, which wasn't included in this, but I don't have any of that. But I do have some lime pickle, and I'm cautiously optimistic that this is going to make a nice sandwich. So let's get started. First things first is the onion bhajis. Now I'm going to do 2 of these. I think the sandwich bread is quite small, so it's probably only going to hold 1, but I might want 2, so we'll do 2. Now the box says these only take about 15 minutes at 160, but I never trust those things. So these are going to go in for about 20 minutes, so I'm going to put these in now while we prep the kale. So I mentioned in my video that I don't like kale because nobody likes kale, but basically what I'm going to do here is cover it in smoked paprika and hope that that makes it taste nice. That's about it. Should we go for about that much? Is that reasonable? The only thing it said to do was to go through and kind of cut out any of these like thick ridges because they're not going to cook as well and then they're going to be really difficult to eat. Right, is that it? That might be about it, okay. So all of that is going in here. So we'll coat that in olive oil. And a ton of smoked paprika. Okay, there we go. So that is the smoked paprika that I'm going to put in with the onion bhajis in a few minutes because these only take less than 10 minutes apparently. And I don't want them to burn because then they'll just get even worse. Lunch then is going to be onion bhajis, kale, bread, which I will butter, lime pickle, assuming it hasn't gone off. Smells pretty good. And the only other thing I could think of to add from the Too Good To Go bag is not the salad in this Caesar salad, but specifically the Caesar dressing. I figured that could add an interesting component to this sandwich, and also I'm probably not going to eat the rest of this. Look, it's already going off. There's quite a lot actually of this Caesar dressing, so I think this could be an interesting thing on one side of the sandwich, put the lime pickle on the other, and then hopefully this is going to make a very tasty lunchtime sandwich. The bhajis have had their head start, so now it's time to add the kale. Doesn't that look appealing? Okay, let's come back in 10 minutes or so. That kale is looking very crispy. Very crispy. That's probably overdone. But the onion bhaji's hot, so yeah, cool, let's make a sandwich. I fully accept this is going to be a very messy sandwich, but I'm fine with that. Start with bits of bread. Next up, some of the lime pickle. This is going to be a very messy sandwich. Now some of this Caesar dressing, which I don't actually know what that tastes like. Let's try it first. It's like a sour mayonnaise kind of thing. Interesting. I don't know how well this is going to work, but we're going to do it. So the kale I think is going to go on the dressing because this is really crispy, and so this is going to soften that up and make that a bit nicer, hopefully. Then we have the onion bhaji. And I think rather than just putting a full onion bhaji there, let's try and cut this up a little bit. Hopefully it might make it a bit easier to eat as well. Didn't think about how I was going to put these two bits together actually. Whoops. And there it is. There is my lunch sandwich. Hopefully this is going to be delicious. If I can actually eat it. Oh, look at that. That actually looks like a really nice sandwich. So, let's give it a try. There's a lot going on there. There's nothing wrong with it though. The lime pickle is really good, and the Caesar sauce thingy is adding a little bit of tang to it. It's not overpowering it. You can't taste the kale, which is good, so it just means that it's an added vegetable in this sandwich. Probably could have done with two of the onion bhajis, to be honest. There's not a stronger flavour there of them. But that is a good sandwich. I'm happy with that. So that was my first ever food challenge, making something with the stuff I got in a Too Good To Go bag. I managed to make 3 separate things here. I managed to make this really weird, really nice sandwich, some blueberry milk, and some mushrooms on toast. I think I've been quite successful with this. No, it wasn't the most creative use of the food, but this is my first ever time doing this challenge. Cut me some slack. If you had any ideas of what you would have made with the food, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Rob. Click like and subscribe, and I will see you in another random video next week.